Hello and welcome to today's live stream. We're very excited. We are streaming here on YouTube as every Tuesday, but also today we get to stream on Facebook. So, hello to all the Facebook people out there. Let's say hi. Here's Jeff and Rick, and I'm Caleb. How we doing, guys?
Doing great. Super
Great.
excited about this.
This is so cool. We had this crazy idea of we were talking about what kind of coin magic can you do with objects that are not coins, right? And not only is that helpful in a situation where you don't have coins and you need to do something for somebody, you want to perform something, but also there's amazing advantages that you get when you're not using coins sometimes. So we got some really exciting things to share with everybody here. Is there anything you want to say on that before we kick off, Jeff?
I'm just excited about this because each of us have brought something to the table. We're going to brainstorm, jam, and we hope that you guys will get along in the comments and leave comments when you watch this in the future and share us what you think.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have thinking about coin magic without coins. One of the first things you think of is how can we find what objects around us can we find that are similar in shape and size, allow us to do some of the typical moves and apply that way. So I'll just start off and say one of the first things that I was thinking about was Ritz crackers, right? We have these for our international friends. These are just a U.S. cracker brand, and they
Salty, buttery, extra delicious cracker.
Yes, yes, yes. But it's small, flat, round.
It's a biscuit.
It's a biscuit.
Biscuit.
In the UK, it is. I think you're right. But it allows you to do all sorts of I mean, you could do like your typical, you could do your typical three fly type situation. Hold on, let me get myself Ritz set up here. Now, not you leave a little crumbs on the floor. But what was interesting about the Ritz is that I've seen before from Paul Draper. So this is not an original idea, but he had some ideas with cracking the crackers and using them, like sprinkling them as a kind of a way to change the form. He uses it as a gag, I believe. But we were talking about that. There's maybe some interesting things we could do with that, right?
Yeah. Shiloh beat me to the punch there. This little comment here, but I mean, I think right there, when it comes to you got food, I think one of the easiest ways to make it vanish would be right. You just pop it in your mouth, and if you got another cracker palmed, then you just pop that sucker in there, chew it up, and you could spit it back. It's like Bitcoin, but it's like
Yeah, for sure. And Matthew made a good point. He said that would help you develop a delicate touch.
It really would. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking about. If I'm performing with objects like this, you mentioned the dust and stuff like that, and the salt and a little bit of grease maybe on some of these more delicious, delectable. They're gonna get your hands greasy. Maybe not good if you're gonna go into a set with playing cards. So, what about like some kind of epoxy? Or you think you could give a clear coat or a spray varnish, or maybe even do something where you could get a little more weight, because when you're manipulating things that are not like coins, what's great about coins is that metal, that weight allows you to really handle it really well. But what if you could get just a little more weight? Maybe you could put some, they make well, I was talking about fishing, there's some fishing weights, they're lead weights that like stick inside of artificial lures. I'm wondering if maybe you could get something with a small drill or something, put some weight in there and then epoxy over. You might have a more of a solid coin type object that would have a little more weight and feel. Just you wouldn't want to do the bite vanish for that one. But
Right. True, 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 true. But even yeah, even adding some kind of, like you said, some kind of weight, or maybe because the spectator doesn't necessarily, what's great about these kind of objects is that you can pull these out of this, right?
yeah,
Like it comes in its own container. So it's
nobody's
like,
counting.
yeah, nobody's counting, nobody's it's automatically justified what people think it is. So you could have a fake one, or one that you've sealed with some, like you said, epoxy or something, just to give it some sturdiness, some weight, and it be just sitting in the container.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would go completely. I mean, I think you've got an opportunity for just a flurry of effects. Like this one would do with the crack. This one's going to vanish through crumble. This one through vanish. hand one to a spectator, tell them to eat it and make it come back.
Yeah. I'm even thinking about like some ideas like if you've ever seen the original one of the original egg silk to egg bagged egg routines from Tarbell,
Uh-huh.
he puts an egg inside of like a handkerchief and has the spectator break it. And
Uh,
then when he opens the handkerchief, the egg is restored. So you could almost do something similar with the crackers, right?
yeah,
Where the spectator's breaking and then maybe sprinkles them into some kind of a bag or something, the change bag of some kind or something.
yeah.
Um, there's all sorts of ideas here.
Yeah, you could get into particular with that. Rick, we're gonna hear from you in a second. You gotta have something on this topic, but you could get into something if a little delicate, but maybe in the right environment. You have to be aware of food allergies, right? Handing these kinds of things out, but you could change flavors or tastes, and you could get a taste illusion. They're expecting salty cracker, but it tastes like sugar instead of salt or something kind of different. You get into some mentalism.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
getting a
So,
little beyond the scope of this. We're talking about coins because I can
yeah.
use these type objects in coin slides. But you see, when the creativity starts flowing, you
Yeah.
know, you're going over. Rick, what are your thoughts, man?
Well, initially, so Caleb sent me this topic, and my first thought was poker chips. I mean,
Mm,
that's an obvious translation to a coin. It's flat, it's round, it's hard. They're not quite as heavy, but I mean, you can do any kind of coin move with a poker chip.
how
And
come that still looked good from
for
the
some
back?
people that
The mechanics are
for some
beautiful to watch.
people for some people poker chip might make even more sense than a 100-year-old silver dollar. So that's always an option, and it makes sense. Like it's the same object almost.
Yeah,
And then along the same theme wise, why not dice? They're
Mm,
not round, they're not flat, but I mean they're small enough you could do simple stuff like that. You can there's a famous dice move it's was translated to coin work. Maybe someday we'll go into depth on that, but you could classic palm, say this die was weighted, what they call a loaded die, and you're in a game, you can just switch for that loaded die and always roll a 6 if you wanted or whatever.
mm,
And then uh keeping with money, why not folded up uh dollar bills?
mhm,
Because they're flat enough. It's almost the size of a dollar,
mhm.
so it's very comfortable. So you can show a dollar, and unbeknownst to the spectator, you're holding out, and then in the action of folding that up in front of them. Now remember, they're in front of me, so it just looks like the same dollar, but now you've switched it for a mismade bill.
Wow.
And along the lines of that, I mean, you
Hold
could
on a second, hold
do
on a second,
like
hold on a
yeah.
second.
Hold on, Rick.
billet.
We're doing one at a time, man.
Hold on. Rick is blowing
Okay.
our minds.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was all 3 next month's worth of material.
I need to no, that's fantastic. I wanna jump in on the dice thing.
Yeah.
A good use of that, I think, would be I have a buddy that was talking to me about they make these dies that are they just have one of the numbers missing. So it's like the only number you can't roll is like a 2 or something like that. And that
Yeah.
you can buy them at like a magic store. So if you had a die and you had somebody rolling the die, roll, and then you do Rick's switch move here and hand it to somebody else. Here, you roll it, and now you have like a maybe like a bank night routine or some kind of thing where they need to select everything something other than a 2, right? You've got your routine done simply with this little coin and gambling move of switching the die. So these things are so useful in like, I mean, that's a stage routine right there out of just the die switch.
Yeah, yeah. I think
You know?
you got a lot of ideas. I wanted to go back, like, just talk about the poker chips because I think that was like spot on, like where you've got some that is a coin-like object. It's valuable like a coin. It's money, but the bright colors. I mean, just the advantage of that, like you're saying, is really good for some. And I've seen some effects that have come out over the years with poker chips, and some of them good, some of them bad. But you're right, you can do a lot of the same exact slice, and there's weighted chips. If you purchase some of the higher end ones, they can weigh up to about 15 or 16 grams, which is still only about a typical coin is going to get over 20 grams, but it's still pretty heavy. It's heavy enough to feel and be able to do the moves and let gravity work the right way, versus what we might struggle with, a cracker or something a little bit lighter. It's gonna be hard to get it to flip or manipulate, or if it's sticky or buttery. So I mean, there's obviously advantages, with a little bit of everything. But I like the idea of poker chips because they're silent, they're smooth, they're heavy, they're colorful, so you can get some really radical color changes, and sometimes they could be the right coin for the right environment.
And what I think is cool about all this is we talked a few times about weight. And if you can manipulate the weight, like we said earlier with the crackers, people understand intuitively, okay, that cracker doesn't weigh a lot. So if you put a fake weight on it, you have an advantage automatically that they can't imagine because like in their brain, I was just thinking about this recently. Sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent, but
No.
magic is about assumptions, I believe. Whether you're trying to fool a spectator or you're trying to fool a magician, you're trying to think, what are they going to assume and how do I use that against them for their entertainment, right?
Yeah.
So if I can get them to assume that this is a lightweight object when it's really heavy without me having to tell them anything, that's
Yeah.
way stronger than if I was to, try to tell them something, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So yeah, I wonder how you could use that to your advantage. I was thinking
Well, I
about
mean, with
the
the
holes and whatnot. I could think of some ways to levitate that sucker.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing. But even with like what Rick was showing with like the poker chips and like if you had a poker chip, like you're saying that people expect to be weighted, or you switch, you put it in their hands, it's weighted, you switch it, and now you have a poker chip that you've drilled out that's like super lightweight, and you float it. It's a little bit, something like that, things like that. I've seen
Yeah.
people float cell phones because you're thinking like, well, this is really heavy, right?
Yeah. No way.
So
Hmm. That's
different
interesting.
ideas there.
That's good
Dang,
stuff.
Rick, Rick, you just blasted us with all sorts of creative ideas. Everybody was like, "Whoa!" It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, we can. There's definitely Ricky's strength has come up with a lot of creative stuff really fast.
Tell
Well,
me
I'm
about
gonna.
this build change, Rick, real
Yeah.
quick, before we because I want to see Jeff's thing. But this build change, you were talking about, what are we taking advantage of there in Coin Magic in order to do that?
Well, with just it being kind of the same diameter, it's not as thick or as heavy, but you have that height width comparison there. So
Mm,
finger palming a bill, it's very comfortable. Your hands super relaxed. It's not you can do any kinds of switches. And I was saying like with if you're using dollar bills, you might even use it in a mentalism routine. A really inexpensive book you can get is Practical Mental Magic.
yep.
This is like less than $10 on Amazon or somewhere. It's everywhere. But there's a trick in there called the living live or dead test. So like, but you can use the concept for any. Say you have three people and you have them choose a country, and you're gonna divine, the country that each person wrote down. So right here, you're one ahead with a fake billet. There's nothing on this,
Dummy billet, yeah.
but so they write it down. You're not looking at them. They fold theirs up in quarters, and then uh, as you take the first one back, you're gonna do a switch, I would just do a demonst change type of a thing,
Yeah, it's just a
or you
coin
could
move,
just
but it's super quiet.
you could just do a fake take here,
Or a
and
shuttle
maybe you have a receptacle. So meanwhile, you're gonna peek at this one in any number of ways, and then that'll get you one ahead, and you can tell each person which country they wrote down. And there's a million examples of that basic concept in this book. And 13 Steps is another
Mm.
affordable book. So yeah, if you can get some of the proportions of a coin, like here we've got the height and the width and the general size. With a poker chip, we got more of the weight and almost the exact shape.
Yeah.
But then a die is like, well, take a ball, got a chop cut. You can do like a French drop. You could that applies to ball magic too. And you could do any kind of stuff with a ball shape.
Right.
So
Right. Well, I want to just point out it's like we were talking about before. It's like there's so many advantages once you switch the prop, and that's today's challenge. Okay, just that we didn't say it at the beginning, but today's challenge is take a coin trick that you're already doing, and just in practice, switch the prop for something else and see what happens, what advantages, what disadvantages. Because just switching the prop to a bill, like Jeff was mentioning, all of a sudden you don't have noise, which can help in some slights. All of a sudden it's lightweight. You could clip it really easily, just like a regular coin clip, but with a bill, right? I mean, there's so much you can do there. Let me say real quick before we jump on to the next one. Let me say hi to some people here. We got Scott joining us, talking about David Ross showed him some dice cheating in the New
Yeah.
York Coin Magic seminar. That's amazing. Yes, even
Yeah, he's
David
amazing.
Ross was thinking about
Steve
that.
Forte is one of the most amazing dice switching expert out there. If you get a chance to study him, got a
Okay,
lot
Steve.
of
Yeah,
agreement.
I think I've heard. Yeah,
Yeah,
heard touch
he's the expert on
on.
gambling. You think of him more like with playing card stuff, but like all things gambling, he knows. He's been up in the booths of the casinos, like watching for this kind of stuff happening in real world.
Yeah, yeah. And then we got somebody here, Illusion Stay, good to see you.
Hey,
Joining us. Let's see. Dimitar has an effect with dice, and number two, expected to put in the bank card in an envelope, mix it, and then write down a number. That's what we're talking about, like a bank night routine
yeah,
with the dice switching. Marina, good to see you over here. Joe, Practical Mental Magic, good principles. Yeah, that was our good book recommendation there. Rick, Tyler Rabbit has work with washers. That's interesting because I was gonna bring. Yeah, I brought washers too. That was another thing we were gonna talk about. Talk about washers, Jeff.
Well, I think washers are wonderful because they are coins in essence, and they're very disarming. They're not. I think that given the right circumstances, I'd much rather perform with a coin if I'm going to use a metal object. But they do have the ability to have the holes in them, and my set is across the room. But like for example, when I used to perform Troy Hoozer's Charming Chinese Challenge, I think it's a great effect, wonderful effect. I had these old looking Chinese coins that didn't look like Chinese. They looked like washers. They really did. And they were just painted washers. That's what they were, painted washers that looked like Chinese coins. So that'd be my gag when I'd bring it out and let people, for that is stronger. I think if you let people examine the props, you're not proving anything. So I had to find a way to comically let people know that these are real washers and this is a real string and there's nothing broken. So it's better if you casually hand that out at the beginning. So I'd say, here, check out these old Chinese coins that are actually washers painted to look like old Chinese coins made in a Chinese factory. And that would get a little laugh, and everybody realized, okay, yeah, they just are washers. And as I'm taking back, I'd just say something. And the funny thing is, actually, they're Japanese, and then go on with the whole effect. But the use of washers can be magical and interesting because people don't really see magic tricks done with them. And so I just have some here from the package. But you can do all your favorite sleights, whatever French drops and all kinds of productions and various things. They're gonna do the magic just the same. These happen to be pretty small ones, but you can get some of the same effects. So yeah.
Man, a random idea I just thought of. What about doing a coin bend with a washer? Because then you're talking about like, because coin bends don't really have much of a justification, but washers getting bent when you're trying to like do
Oh
some
yeah,
work on a car or something, you know?
that would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Hmm.
Be, interesting something to think about. We're giving you guys little seeds of ideas to like work on, right?
We're just
But,
jamming on this stuff. So
come back to us in a couple weeks and let us know what you got.
yeah.
But
Absolutely.
what was the next one you wanted to share, Jeff?
I've got one that I'm going to share, and then I'm enjoying this so much, so I'm going to save a few of them for a future live stream, because I've got a table full of ideas here. You cut me loose on this topic, or we're just jamming whatever this topic.
And
And
real quick, if you guys like this kind of a live stream where we're just kind of like jamming and shooting ideas out, let us know in the comments. Put a like, put a heart, wherever you are, Facebook, YouTube. Let us know, and we'll be able to try to do this kind of thing in the future.
yeah, absolutely. See, Dimitri mentioned the other one here, and I didn't even grab it out there. The bottle cap is a great one. So is a wonderful one actually. I just read a comment there. I did mean to do that, Caleb, is to bring the drink over here. But bottle caps are wonderful. They really can do all your palming. They can do classic palm really well. So we could talk about that. See, I got a list of everything going on here. Caleb mentioned Ritz crackers, and one of the things that I brought was the classic Oreo cookie. And I think these are known around the world. And so something I work on is some ideas of color change. They have all these different flavors now.
What
And
the
so,
heck?
so you can color change the frosting, and this is not really,
Wow.
this is workshopping. This is paper towel, but it looks a
Well, that's
lot
not
like,
even frosted.
yeah, and delicious too. So all I
It's got
did
the
was,
texture to it.
it's got the
It looks
texture.
just like it.
And again, these are not polished or changed. We're just brainstorming here. But this would be more recognizable maybe as an Oreo, and you got all the different flavors of chocolate, and then I thought the green hair is a good contrast. So there you go.
Wow.
Fun stuff with Oreo cookies, and again, coin-like objects. I've got crumbs everywhere. This is the studio. I'm gonna have to vacuum in here. We don't want bugs getting in with all the coin
Dude,
boxes.
if you colored the back of that white paper black, you could do the
Ooh.
change and then turn this Oreo.
Oh.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Then you do that, and then you could double. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be amazing. See, so
That's
there
a
you go. That's why
that's
we
a
Can you,
jam. We
Jeff?
go ahead.
You gotta 3D print that, man, and do that.
Yeah, I think I will throw this on the 3D printer.
I know you
So
got a 3D printer.
I do. I just got a brand new one. I think it'll be better for it'll get this. So you could go here, you wipe, and then yeah, because as of right now, that'd be better than like palming that off.
dang,
No, it
that
is
would be
paper. I
cool.
can completely palm it off. But yeah, there you go. So
That's gonna be on Penguin in the next week.
somebody's gonna be marketing my
Yeah.
idea.
No,
Which
that's our next product in
that's
Yeah.
it.
at the end of 2022.
Nobody can touch that,
The
okay?
Copeland cookie. The Copeland cookie.
Just throw Copeland name on it. There you go. That's all you gotta do. But
Wait,
I
real
love
quick. Real quick, I wanna ask, because this is what's interesting. This is how
It comes in a wrapper.
Yeah.
this is interesting. This is how everybody watching can apply this to what they're doing. How did you think, Jeff, of the texture of the paper towel would match perfectly? How did you figure all that out? What was the process like?
Well, that was just I'm here at the office, and there's down the hall is a communal bathroom, so I was drying my hands, using the bathroom, washing my hands, and I just had the paper towel, and it was like, interesting, and I didn't really know exactly how it would fit until I just started looking. I don't know. It was just opportunity, it was just always being aware. And so I didn't know that it would work so perfectly, but when I cut it out and stuck it on there, I was, I guess, thoroughly impressed. And like, I don't know if you can see, it even holds like little crumbs. So if you're up close, I mean, it looks pretty
Man.
stinking amazing. Yeah. And of course, it gets the imprint of the paper towel as well, and that's probably from the cookie
Yeah,
too. But
that's so
it did
cool.
did work pretty well. And that's just a rough cut. Again, guys, this was just me. This was earlier today. This is like me
Yeah.
a few minutes ago. I'm sure there's another way. But this piece could, yeah, that could be 3D printed with that texture and a white filament. And then you could probably paint the other side black. This cream here could be 3D printed. It could be reversible. You could put magnets in there. You could do red, blue, green, whatever. I mean, you could get going crazy. But this is just impromptu kind of stuff, you know. This is just
So,
what's happening when.
so just so everybody, just to recap, the takeaway for that is doing all these things, like all the crazy awesome things Rick was showing you, all the crazy awesome things Jeff is showing you. It's like thinking about these things. All of a sudden, you're going through your day and you're watching, and you're like, "Oh, this paper towel would work perfectly," right? Or you're
Yeah.
pulling a bill out of your wallet. Oh, I could finger palm this. You know what I mean? Like, start thinking like this, and you'll be creating all sorts of new original magic that you never thought possible. Right?
Yeah, and the thing is, what we're teaching you at Copeland Coins is the slights for this kind of stuff, and we're always telling you go out there and make it your own. I mean, Rick's beautiful, amazing project. He recently released the Recoil, right? It's got this everyday object, which we've packaged and made perfect for you. You've got all the teaching, you got the props. There's a lot more to it. There's this whole routine, but Rick is playing with these ideas and he comes up with them and presents them. And now when you get Recoil and you take it home, and we've seen this over and over again on YouTube and social media, somebody doesn't perform Rick's exact routine. They turn it into their own routine. And so that's what we're teaching you guys, the props and the ideas and stuff like that, the basic foundation of these slights and things like that. And so you can take it to the next level because like there's just so many ideas. And again, I'm playing with these Oreos here, and this is just classic. And I love Caleb already mentioned the idea that you have the package here. And so you can just reach inside and you can know, and I know other guys have done this. You've probably seen on national television, the idea of using the Oreo case, but in our minds, what we're talking about, this is our deck of cards, right? That's one of the beautiful things about card magic is your props are hiding in plain sight. And we talk about this all the time. I talk about it all the time in my magic lectures and whatnot. We're looking for concepts like this, where we can have things hiding in plain sight so we're relaxed. There's no stress. We're not holding out. We don't have things up our sleeves. The sleeve is in plain sight. And so you can reach in and pull out a couple Oreos, and then you can go from there to here. And then you can do like an Oreo across, right? And then that's the cleanup. So I get one across, and there we go. So this is just stuff that I can do. And again, I've got a little bit of advantage of camera angles here. But if I reset this here, I'll show you again. This is I got two Oreos. I've got one across, and the cleanup here. Again, these are just practical ideas I haven't worked on, but this is a cookie across, and I made myself a flipper coin. By opening the Oreo.
A flipper cookie.
A flipper cookie. So there's not much going on other than just doing a classic coins across move and producing another coin. And then my cleanup is over here, and I'm trying to do it in frame for you, but my cleanup is just putting the cookie back together, and then I got one cookie. So it's but I mean, these are the ideas and the slights that we're teaching. And yes, mint Oreos are the best. And I hope I can say this here. It's like, for years, the Girl Scouts have been selling thin mint cookies, and they're kind of dainty and everything. But I call these are Man Scout cookies. These are the full grown adult Scout, human Scout, adult Scout cookies that they are a little more thick, and they've got the same flavor. So a big fan.
That's funny. That's funny. When you showed me that thing with the Oreo, man, that when you load it back, it looked like it was like some kind of a shell or something. I was like, where the heck did the other piece go? It's such a good idea. Oh man, all these ideas are so good. Let me mention a couple of comments here. An Oreo-sized insert for the Blackbird. That's a good idea.
Cookies on demand. That would be amazing.
That's a great idea. Blackbird is the secret device that we have for making a coin appear from your sleeve. You got to check that out if you have it on the website. But that's a great idea, Matthew. This is something I want to talk about maybe in a future live stream. Seashells, perfect for summer magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arthur says, do a cookie bend.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yep.
Good idea. Let's see here. This is very interesting. Sculpey, the bakeable clay. Have you guys? I've looked at some of that. Have you played with that at all? It's so good for making stuff.
I haven't played with Crayola. Has a project now. It's even easier to use a product called Air Dry Clay, and it comes in all different colors. I believe it's paintable after it's dried. You have to check me on that. But you basically sculpt it to anything. My kids play with it; they love it. And within a day or two, it's really lightweight. So you could put the weights inside it for sure. You could mold them right in, and then it just dries itself, and it's got a nice texture to it. That's why I'm pretty sure I'm almost 100% certain actually it's paintable. And yeah, you can put weights in it. You can make pretty much anything. It's a product I wish I had years ago. I would have used it for all kinds of things. Now I usually 3D print, but that stuff is really good. And it's pretty affordable, and they sell
I
it at
think that
most kid stores.
I think they have one called Model Magic that they sell in the craft stores too.
Yeah, there's model. That might be what the one I'm thinking of. It's an air dry clay though. It's like really lightweight. I mean, it has like hardly any weight to it at all. So you definitely stick some washers in there, something if you want to make it feel a little more believable. But you could sculpt a cookie or anything out of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the last one I want to mention here is Shiloh says serendipity belongs to the prepared. Great idea. So that'll be our quote for the live stream today. We have so many takeaways here as far as thinking about different ways you can use your coin magic. That's going to be our challenge for this week. Go out and try to find different objects you can use in place of place of the coins in your current routines. And the last thing I want to mention before we close out is that another object that we sell on our site that's perfect for this is rings,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
We just been starting to sell our coin rings, and they're interesting because it's a combination of a coin and another object, right? And morphing and transformations are possible. Yeah, show them that up close. The reason I want to mention it is just because we just got new sizes in stock. And what are those sizes again, Jeff?
So we added for the first time size 13. There was a lot of requests for it. So we have size 13 and size 12 is back in stock. And so those were hot sellers. A lot of people wanted to wear them on their index finger. And so the 12 and 13 will help with a lot of our customers with that. So we're super excited to have those rings back in stock. They're all handmade, beautiful, made out of the Tiger Tan coins and the Walking Liberties. And then we've also got our tungsten rings as well, and some beautiful magic. There's an awesome project, Ouroboros by Travis Askew, that give you a lot of like foundational type stuff and really clever ideas on how to use a ring like a coin, which is very similar to what we're doing here today with using different props that Rick brought a ton of amazing super ideas. Caleb, great ideas. And this was a fun time. So check out
Oh,
the
yeah, it is absolute blast. So go check out the coin ring. Go make some beautiful magic this week with other props. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, guys.